when I first started creating content, it was the furthest from my mind. I just wanted to play these games, right? And then one day I look up and now it's kind of like, well, what's your thoughts on racism and this and this? And if I'm being honest, right, I'm not an advocate. I leave that to the professionals because that's what they do, right? I don't want to spread misinformation. I don't want to be insincere, and I don't want to use, you know, the fact that I'm a woman and I'm aware, y'all, I'm a Black woman. I know, right?
Put my headphones on and played my favorite song and drifted off to a different space.
Oh, hey, girl.
Hey, imagine after all this time.
It's been years.
All right, what's up, everyone? Welcome on into the HyperX Unmuted podcast, and we are here getting unmuted. How are you?
I'm good. How you doing?
So good, so good. If you're not familiar, everyone, I am Storymodebae. I am a content creator, variety streamer, host. I do a little bit of everything, but I'm not the only one that does a little bit of everything. Cupahnoodle?
Yep. What's up, y'all? I'm Cupahnoodle. Much like SMB, I feel like we do a little bit of everything. I'm a variety creator, content creator in general, host. I'm a member of the Twitch Hall Monitor Committee, the Twitch Safety Council. If you name it, I am most likely there. Happy to be here. I'm happy to get to sit down with you.
Yeah, I am so excited. Yeah, I feel like exactly what Cup said. We wear many hats. A whole lot.
We know no peace, right?
We know no peace.
But it's funny, as much as we always do, we rarely get to do things with each other. So this was kind of, I was like, wait, like we finally get to actually sit down and do something together.
I was gonna say, because we were texting earlier and you brought it up, the last time I feel like we worked together, was it the Olympics?
I think it was the Olympics.
Yeah.
Was that 2021? Has it
really 2 years. Exactly 2 years.
Thank you, HyperX, for bringing us back together after all this time, right? That's crazy.
What a time.
I mean, I remember the road before like Olympics and like even thinking about hosting, like when I first started, like the first thing I did was I streamed, right? So the first place I ended up at, I was at Twitch. I didn't know how to edit. So YouTube didn't know me, you know, didn't know me. So I went to Twitch first and I was there. Between us, I had a failed stream from like 2014 to about into 2015. It didn't work, but I learned a lot. And then I started over and I was like, I'm just gonna use my gamer tag. Let's get it. And then from there, come about 2017, it hit me. I am not that good at these games. I'm not bad. Let me say that for those who don't know me. I'm a hardcore casual, but I'm not esports, right? And at the time, esports was it. It was like Red versus Blue. Everybody named Mama was playing like professionally. It's like, oh, I want to be on these teams. That wasn't me. So I had to find another way to get in. And I was like, hosting. No one's really doing that. And I saw, and Twitch just had this random blog post, and I never read the blog, so go off. And it was just like, we're looking for hosts. If you can do it, I'm like, I don't know, but I'm gonna try. And so that's like how I got my start. I got in, and then Twitch kind of put up with me, and they let me host and get it wrong. I broke stuff, I dropped stuff. I did Ricky Bobby hands because I know what to say, but they never kicked me out. And then, I don't know. A couple years later, we're hosting the Olympics. What about you? How'd you get in?
Man, I mean, I've been gaming since I was like 4 or 5. So I've always...
Really?
Yeah, since I was literally a kid. So I've always loved video games, but I mean, as far as content creation goes, I started on YouTube actually at first.
I'm learning so much. Okay.
Yeah, I started on YouTube at first, and it was very much those days of me streaming off of my PS4 console. Real janky, like the headset sounded like a prison phone, like it was a mess. But I really love to do it. But exactly what you were saying, I hate editing. Like to this day, I'm not that girl at all. So finally, that was in 2017, and you know, someone that was watching my videos on YouTube, they were telling me about Twitch. And I was like, what is Twitch? Like, I don't know anything about Twitch. But I finally joined January 2018, and from the moment I started my first stream and realized everything was live and I didn't have to touch a single thing after that, oh, I was sold. There's something about just doing it live, and you know, both of our communities I feel like are so engaging and into what we're doing. Even if we're playing bad, they're into it.
Because they laughing at our expense, right? So when we win, we lose, and when we lose, we lose-win. But you know, we're happy to be here.
They're having a good time. I feel like that's what matters.
It's at the end of the day, it's just supposed to be fun. Yeah. You know, it's a place that you get to go, and you don't have to worry about things like life, right? We're just gonna hang out. We're gonna make questionable decisions together.
A lot of questionable decisions.
they remember us different.
Yeah.
Right? Respectfully with love. I hope so, right?
Hope.
I apologize in advance because I'm like, I may be here for a good time, not a long time.
Not a long time, right.
So just remember, should the ship go down, remember me different.
We're all
right?
going down together.
It was love on this side, you know?
Exactly. I'm gonna take a sip of this. Is a cute little cup. I like to consider myself a person that gets bored very fast. I personally don't like to do the same thing over and over again, not just with content creation, but life. I need something else. Big goals for me, as much as I love video games, like I am passionate about so many other things. I love music, I love pop culture, I love food, and I want my content to reflect that. I want to have my own show at some point. Like I just want to highlight all the different parts of me outside of just video games. I feel like, especially after, the pandemic started, streaming has become so overly saturated. Everybody's streaming now. Everybody. Like I can't get on TikTok without seeing somebody streaming. And so a lot of me just feels like I need to always not necessarily reinvent myself, but okay, what's next? What is helping me stand apart from someone else? Yeah, and growing. Yeah.
It's funny. I went from just streaming to like, I'm a streamer / host. So I spent the first couple years trying to be the streamer, right? And then after that, I started hosting. It's like, well, now they only see me as a host, and it's not that I'm a streamer. So, it's like I'm never happy, obviously. But, in saying all of that and doing all these different things, it's like I'm a content creator, and I just want to create content. That's it. Now, just watching where things are going, like the evolution of it, for me, I'm original content. I love playing these games. I'm going to be 102 playing these games. That's fair. But I think original content, because eventually, like you said, like the growth of it all, right? At this point, now I know how things work. I get it, especially with the crackdowns at your DMCAs and things of that nature. At this point, I'm thinking evergreen, and I just want original content.
Yes.
Because that means, one, I get to think, and I like thinking, right? Because everything, I just want to I want to compound my life slowly but surely and just keep doing more. I want to get to a point where, I don't know, I know I'm good, because honestly, for what we do, again, I know I've said this is new, it is. I'm thinking about the end game. I'm thinking about, how do you walk away from content? And with streaming, especially streaming, do you plan on streaming when you're 90, right? Are you going to be saying use your prime? So it's like,
not use your prime.
It's like, what is the out, right?
Yeah.
So it's like, we have so many conversations, and I would love to have a panel where we could talk about the money. Everybody wants to make $1.
Yeah.
No one ever talks about how to protect your dollar. What do you do with your dollar? Where do you move your dollar? What are you doing? Do you want to transfer over? You're streaming, but you're on YouTube. Is that so you can get, your passive income where you monetize on YouTube and you don't have to worry about it? Because Twitch is, while it's fun, you have to be there. You have to be present. YouTube, you throw it up there and
We'll see what happens.
that's forever. Twitch, lifespan hits different. As soon as you hit end stream, it's worth nothing. And I don't think we talk about that enough. I'm probably going to be one of those people that's just old and yelling about, back in my day on Twitch, get your monies right.
Okay,
I'm going to be, yelling at people about, making sure financially they're good. That's probably the only thing I worry about. It's funny, like I love these conversations, but I feel like the financial side and the mental side of gaming are two things we don't talk about. Content's one of those gigs where it's a lot. It's a lot on your mental, your physical. I feel like it's always like, oh, team no sleep. Like I feel like there's more to it than that. I just hope it's a little more healthy as we continue. I feel like content's getting really unhealthy. Like what we choose to create content on, like up in the ante. Sometimes there's a reason why people don't do it. It's like, oh, it's new, no one's done it. Like, well, yeah, because why would you?
Crazy,
I feel like our well-beings, it's getting wild. Like with, the TikToks and everything in the world, like no shade. It's like, it's not on the platform, it's on the creator. So I would just like to see content be a little healthier. Like go in a direction where it's not just 0 to 100 at all times, right? So a little more thoughtful, a little more intentional, not just for the cheap pop and God forbid people getting hurt. I would like to see that as we continue.
Yeah, and I mean, I agree. It's tough because I feel like we live in such a society where it's like the wild stuff is what gets the clicks and get the views. But yeah, there has to be like a better way to approach it. You're talking about, you know, having content that's a little bit more healthier. I want to see like creators be a little bit more healthier, really like tap into their mental health and things like that. You know, you're talking about like Team No Sleep and everything else. My community knows if I'm tired, I'm just not going to be there. I love y'all, but I'm tired that I can't do it. That's a conversation that needs to be had more, and not feeling like that guilt about, I can't stream because I am genuinely burnt out, you know?
I think it's tough because I think content is 24/7.
For sure.
Even though it's not, it looks like it.
Yeah.
Because there's always something happening.
Always.
No matter where you turn, no matter what platform it is, it looks like people are doing very specific things all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And honestly, aside from healthy, a little more respectful, not just running in, you know, a little more respectful, thinking of others. Not everything is it. Like, I'm saying it. Taking other people into consideration, that matters.
Yeah, no, it does. And I feel like, you know, people get so bold behind these keyboards and they forget that we're real people and we have real feelings. Like, I consider myself to have pretty tough skin, but yeah, you can't play with me like that all the time. I don't play like that, you know?
I equate it to, I don't get where it comes from. Again, I be trying to get people the benefit of the doubt. I'm like, maybe you're having a bad day. That's fair. Like, homie, I didn't kick your Fruit Loops. What you looking at me for? Like,
exactly.
I really don't know where it comes from. I would be lying if I said I cared to figure out where it was from.
Yeah.
It's just certain things. And I know that the argument will be like, well, that's just where we're at. That's just the community. Like, nah, homie, that's different. That's a you thing.
Down like that.
I don't really make excuses for people's foolishness.
Right.
So, you know, it's nothing to expect. I would just like to see them be better.
As far as games and characters that really impacted me when I was a kid, I have two that are coming to my mind right now. First, Laura Croft. When she had the triangle, you know, when
the polygon,
right? She had
old school Laura, PS1
But
Laura.
I remember like playing Tomb Raider for the first time, and I was very much like doing flips and cartwheels all around my house, climbing up the stairwell and everything. And my second, my dad's family is from Carson, California, and so when I played GTA San Andreas for the first time, girl,
I felt so seen.
And they had the Isley Brothers playing.
Street Fighter 2, maybe Turbo.
Yeah.
When my brother got that and Chun happened. And I was like,
yeah.
and because he's big on the fighters and like KI, so Killer Instinct, you had Orchid. No matter what we played, I gravitated to the female character because it was only one. You got a single character, right? For the longest time, it was only Sonya Blade. And that was the only rare time where I was playing Raiden. Go off.
Really?
I don't know why. It just, sorry, Sonya. I like Cassie, though. Go off, right? Sorry, Sonya. I was playing Raiden, but it's like Orchid. If there was a woman in it, I knew.
Yeah.
You know, like Zelda for me. I know everyone loves Link and Zelda. I liked Impa from the what is it? The Kakariko. It's been a minute. Don't clock me, Village. Impa, she was cool, and I was just convinced. I think she could beat Link up. I'm still arguing that to this day.
I like it.
I liked Impa, and then like Proper the Rapper had me.
Oh, the
beanie. Had me by a chokehold. It really did.
Yeah.
The beanie.
Right.
You know, he
Exactly.
had me. But like, you say GTA, and I'm like, okay, Vice is forever my favorite.
Ooh.
Just because the soundtrack was so
Spicy
good.
take.
I know, right? But I love San Andreas because it was the West Coast.
Yeah.
And if I'm being honest, you don't see that. So it's like that and True Crime, Streets of LA, even though True Crimes was a terrible game.
True.
It was anatomically correct. And kid me remembers asking my dad to just like drive around to places we used to live in LA. Because I'm from LA, right? So it's like, can you take me? It's like, we're in Watts, right? Then we're in Inglewood.
Yeah.
And he's like, yeah, we used to live here off of 43rd. And I'm like, that's so cool.
Wow.
So it's like, I loved any game that made me feel like this was home, right? Like, that's so, I appreciated it. Seeing everybody out there, lowriders and stuff, it was a big deal.
See, it's another game for me too. And it's weird because I didn't play it until I was like streaming as an adult. But like Def Jam Fight for New York, I got my entire life. Like, I played for the first time a couple of years ago, and they had like the Echo Red and the Rockaware. I was like, what?
There was once a time when Def Jam was unmatched. Like, when people yell like labels, there are two labels that come to mind. If it is rap or hip hop, Def Jam had everyone.
Yep.
And if it's rock, then it's Roadrunner. Those were like the two labels where they just monopolized in my childhood, right? Because Def Jam, I got to fight with Joe Budden, and I'm like, who picks Joe Budden? I did. Because he was actually really good. It was me. It was either him or Busta Rhymes.
Busta
DMX
Rhymes,
had a hold on me. But when I tell you, Joe had on the Timbs, and he was actually pumping it up. Like he was actually pretty good. Like not Joe actually having hands.
And then you have Sean Paul doing flips and with his feet all out and everything else. Yes.
He was like the Eddie Gordo of it, right? Like if this were Tekken, Sean Paul would have been like the Eddie Gordo. Sorry, Shauna Paul.
Yeah. We're still waiting for another game, by the way, Def Jam.
Didn't they say if we got a certain amount of tweets,
That's a different conversation.
Okay, so they like. Okay, that's. I think gaming has come a long way. I think when gaming, like the early inception, it was 99% make believe, right? Like most of the things that were occurring in these games, we know we're not going to see. Bubble Bobble used to have a hold on the world, and we know that's not real, right? But now these games are kind of going into reality.
Yeah.
And so now you're seeing yourself more in these games because it's no longer inanimate characters and things. So now you're kind of looking around like, wait. Well, now I want to see me, not because, you just expect to. It's just now we're rooted in reality. There was once a time with the Mario Brothers, I didn't really think about them being Italian.
Yeah.
They were just hanging out with Toadstool in somebody's toilet. And I didn't question it at the time, right? Like, what is a Yoshi?
Yeah.
We don't know. I guess a dinosaur. But it's like, as the games get more realistic, it's like, wait a minute. Now I'm kind of feeling like something's it's hitting a little different, right? It's a little off. And so when you started seeing games and you get that, because there's no way we're not going to talk about The Walking Dead, right? There's no way we're not going to talk about Clem. That was a big deal.
Yeah.
They're kind of telling you straight up, no, this is reality. We are in New York City. It is present day. So now when you don't see certain things, right? It's kind of like, well, then it's not present day.
Yeah.
And I think that's why people are more inquisitive about it. And it's not even really a microscope as much as you can't say this is based in reality and then have a bunch of things missing, like something ain't right.
Yeah. Do you remember the moment when they announced Last of Us Part 2 and everyone saw Abby? Abby is swole, okay? And I loved it. I was here for it.
I've never seen a character like Abby.
Ever.
At all.
Yeah.
And it felt intentional.
Yeah.
So it's one of those things like, I know y'all think I'm buff because, don't let the t-shirt fool you. I know, right? But it's like, I'm not buff. I know y'all thought I was, but
They're hiding.
the guns are,
right.
they relaxing, they dormant right now. But it's like, even though I'm not even though I'm not buff, it was like, it was just dope to see, a character with such development.
Yeah.
Do you think that's important to see? Would you like to see that continue to go?
Yeah, I mean, I would definitely love to see that continue. As we know, we come in all different shapes, sizes, shades, and I feel like that's so important to highlight. Like you were saying earlier, talking about Street Fighter, a lot of those games, there was only one female character, and the way that they looked was so hypersexualized all the time,
In my mind, kid me, so confused.
That's the thing that always not confuses me, but it's irritating when people say that they want, more characters that represent them in some type of way. And it seems like for whatever reason, there's always pushback. We don't need representation in video games, but it's like that feeling when you see a character and you're like, oh my God, yes. That feeling when you're creating a character and they have multiple hairstyles to choose from. And you're like, yes, that's my curl pattern.
I think sometimes there's no in between. I think people think if you say representation, then it's like this big thing. But it's not. Like Miles Morales looked cool, but what got me with Miles was the ones. Yes, I'm such a simple person. Yes. Like, is this man wearing ones?
Yeah.
Let me get to know you more. The fade was clean. And it's like
nice little hairline,
right? It's little things like that where it's like it's not even like on this big narrative. I think the ugly stigma is people are trying to change things, and it's not trying to change anything. It's kind of like a weird stance to have because as people, there should be change. We're changing every day, right? No one's the same person. 5 years from now, 10 years from now. Why do you not expect your media and your games? It's called growth. If we don't get it, then we stand still.
Yeah.
And eventually it's kind of just like, what is the point of it? And it's like, I know we do things like this and it's like, it's cool and I like talking about it. But I will be honest when I say that it's a conversation I feel like we're always having. And at what point do we
change?
Yes.
Yeah.
And I'm not asking for anything just huge, right? It's like, bam, you just cut on a light. It's like, no, it's just eventually these conversations won't be needed because it just is what it is, right?
And I'm ready.
That would be,
And I'm ready for it.
right?
While I do feel like these conversations about representation are super important, I think the thing that frustrates me is when I feel like the efforts aren't being made to change anything. It's a lot of conversations about let's bring some women in, let's bring some Black people in and talk about this thing. But going forward, we're not going to do anything to really uplift or like change anything. We just need somebody to have this conversation.
Just for today.
Just for today. And that's what frustrates me so much. Do you remember summer of 2020?
I just
shake the table.
2020.
Let's
I
shake
just
the
remember
table.
2020 and I was there. I survived, you know.
I was just talking to someone about this the other day because it's almost like I have erased that year from my head. There was so much going on, but one of the things that sticks out to me is when everything was going on and, you know, a lot of people, they wanted to show that they were an ally. And so it was either posting the Black square. It was, let me drop some subs on your channel real quick. Let me call you up for this podcast because I need a Black person in the room. But then the next month, it was crickets.
Yeah.
And it's so frustrating to me for, you know, us to sometimes have these conversations and it's like, yeah, we just need to have this conversation right now. But the next month, no, you're not going to hear from us ever again. And it's like, I don't want fake support. And if we're going to do this, then let's do it long term, you know?
It's a tough one.
Yeah.
And I will be honest when I say, and I can only speak for myself, when I first started creating content, it was the furthest from my mind. I just wanted to play these games, right? And then one day I look up and now it's kind of like, well, what's your thoughts on racism and this and this? And if I'm being honest, right, I'm not an advocate. I leave that to the professionals because that's what they do, right? I don't want to spread misinformation. I don't want to be insincere and I don't want to use, you know, the fact that I'm a woman and I'm aware, I'm a Black woman. I know, right? I feel like I don't think it's fair in some aspects for marginalized creators because at times we don't get to just be.
Yeah.
I think, now I'm not saying there aren't creators that aren't advocates and aren't that you may be here for that, but I feel like the average creator just wanted to stream, right? Just wanted to get on YouTube. And you kind of, the bigger you get, people kind of look at you like, how do you feel? And it's kind of like, well, I probably feel how everyone else feels, but it's like a microphone in your face. And if you don't say it, then somehow you're not an ally or you're not this or you're not that. But it's like, I would be lying if I said that's what I got into this for. And it's like, but now that you mention it, yes, I care. And yes, if I can get involved and do something, then I will. But I can't pretend to be something that I'm not.
Yeah.
Because there are professionals that do this. Like they mean this. They live their life by this, right? I would be lying if I said that. So it's like, I can be an ally about as much as one can, but I don't think that it's fair that these are the positions we find ourselves in because this isn't a position that everyone is in. It's very specific moments where it's like women, how do you feel? LGBT, how do you feel? You know, Black folk, how do you feel about this? And it's kind of like, I get it, but at the same time, it's like, a lot of us didn't sign up for this. And so you're kind of like walking on eggshells at first because it was new and we can act like it wasn't, but it's new. It was 2020 wasn't that long ago, right? So it's like, I don't want to have, it's like a shift, right? It's a shift in people. It's a shift in the way things are moved. It's a shift in branding and sponsorships. And it's kind of like, it was just like a weird time for everything because there was once a time you were there. There were no sponsorships. We were just grateful to get a game code. We saw the more seasoned creators were like, oh, I got a G Fuel and a game code, and that was it. But then out of nowhere, you have sponsorships, right? And brand deals. And it's kind of like people are yelling about money on the table when the money didn't even exist 2 days ago. You were just happy to get a sub button and a little monetization. But then you say, P.S., I can get you a little more if I put it on something marginalized. And I think people realize that. And unfortunately, people get how they live. It's like a capitalize on that. But I'm like, it's fleeting. And all of that being said, like at this point, like our intentions, right, as creators and everything we do. Because I don't want to use the word trend because that's wild, right? That's wild. How do you feel about it? Where do you think it's going? What would you like to see from it? What are you hoping to see?
It's gotten to the point where if I'm asked to do a podcast or interview or come onto somebody's channel or something, and one of the first questions they have is, tell me what it's like to be Black on these platforms. I don't want that anymore, you know? Like, I definitely feel like I've learned early on in my career that all opportunities are not good opportunities. And it's just, yeah, sometimes it feels like that is the easiest question to ask because it's trendy, you know? And that's super frustrating. I would love to see more companies not only reach out to women, reach out to Black people during specific months. You know what I mean? It needs to be a year-round thing instead of just, okay, it's Black History Month. What are we going to do? We need some people real quick. No, it needs to be like a year-round type of thing. It should be inclusive all the time, not just when it's convenient, not just when it's trendy either.
It's actually an honest question.
Yeah.
When it comes to Black History Month, how you feel about it? Because a small part of me, it's never been like this. I've been on this planet for a while. It's so new. And I don't really know how to equate it. And I'd be lying if I said I did. It's one of those things where it used to just be, right? Like, it was just it was a month. And you can reflect if you want. I get it, right?
Yeah.
But now it's kind of become the month of my emails are insane. And do I want to have these conversations? And if I'm being honest, I know they need to be had, right?
Yeah.
They're great conversations. And if real questions are asked, then I'm here for it. But I don't like the feeling of, it's just, woe is me. This is hard. Life is, it's not. Like for me, and I know it's like, because if you do say it's not, you're met with must be nice, right?
Must be nice.
It's one of those things where I don't want to walk around being victimized to make other people feel better or to make other people feel as if they've somehow helped me or made me feel seen. It's like, no, I'm fine. And the more it comes up, it's not a me thing. It makes me feel like, are you okay? Right? Like, I'm okay. Are you okay?
Yeah.
I don't know. It's kind of weird. I feel like we've been in the space for quite some time. And it's just, I get to see how things are kind of maneuvered. Yeah. And I don't like the feeling of eggshells at times with me.
Black History Month is interesting because, we have been in the space for quite some time. And I feel like we definitely saw the shift, at least for me personally. I saw the shift after 2020, like Black History Month 2021.
It doesn't feel real. I don't know how it happened.
They were pulling out all the stops, all the platforms.
It was genuinely just it was night and day.
Yeah, completely different. And then 22 rolled around and then 23 rolled around. And it just got a little bit quieter and quieter. And the type of person that I am, I observe. Sometimes I don't say a lot, but I observe and I see what's going on. And it's like, if you're not serious about uplifting year round, it's just, I can't. Because I have seen a lot of creators only get highlighted during those months. And that sucks. That's tough.
Yeah, because unfortunately, we have a lot of creators that do a lot of great things. Well, fortunately, we do. Unfortunately, we'll probably never know about a lot of them because their numbers only called for things that have nothing to do with the content they
exactly. Yeah.
They don't, it has nothing to do with the content. And it's just kind of, again, you just kind of feel like, one, you're either not a content creator or in the inverse, I just don't feel like a person. It's like you see me for very specific things, but I feel like you drive yourself crazy trying to get people to view you a certain way. I feel like at this point, I feel like we see ourselves a certain way. We think people see us, right? We all want people to, it's like, oh, I think they see me like this. And then there's the reality of how people really see you. And I can't change that. Like, it is what it is. That's why I was just say, remember me different. Yeah. Because I'm not changing who I am. And I'm not going to say things to make other people feel comfortable. If I like something, I do. If I don't, that's fair. I try to be as respectful as possible, but I can't be that for everyone. I don't think anyone should have to be that unless that's something you signed up for.
I was a little nervous about having this conversation today because, again, it's very much a representation conversation. And while important, it's like, okay. My content is kind of cool too, you know, but maybe I'm also biased too because I did have a great time because you're with me and we
got to do something.
We got to do something.
And I love that for us.
Right.
And I think for what it's worth, I mean, I know it's always like we say things like, you know, they hit us up for X, Y, and Z. I think it is worth noting that although that may be the case, we get a lot done.
We do.
Right? I don't want to leave with the notion of, so unless it's X, Y, and Z, then you don't do anything. Like, no, like I'm signed to an org. I have an agency. I had a very long running show on Amazon. Every time I look up, I am apologizing my community for being a no-show. So no, we work and we work well.
Yes, we do.
We do. And I'm grateful for everything I get to do. It's just, doesn't always have to be about that. And when it's not about that, I think we do great things, right? A lot of sponsored streams. We get a lot done.
Yeah, we do. Like, I mean, you said it. I just feel like we are super fortunate to be in this position because we stay booked and busy, and I'm not mad about it. But I mean, for all of the brands and companies and partners that I work with and want to work with in the future, as long as I'm able to authentically be myself and not have to conform based on who I'm working for, I'm happy.
As long as I get to be me, apologies in advance. I know what I'm capable of. I'm sorry. You know, but if you're willing to rock with me and put up with me, I think it goes to, without saying that, as aside to, just being a Black woman, I think there are a lot of great creators that are great at what they do, a lot of great personalities. It would be nice to see them more. It would be nice to, and when I say see them, I don't mean just see them physically, like get to see them for what it is they do and not just for who it is they are. I think it's a lot more. That's what we all got into this for. Like, I didn't get into this just to be a Black woman. I'm not special, right? There's so many more. So it's like, I get that. But for me, I want to play these games. And then that kind of turned into, I want to host at these conventions. And we got to host the Olympics. And now we're on YouTube, right? And we want to make questionable decisions there. It's like, that's what it is. That's for me, what I want to do. But it's cool that I get to sit down and talk with you. And we get to do things like this. Because again, we are in a position where we're fortunate enough to do it. And there are people that may feel like, they may feel this way, but they may feel like maybe they're kind of, am I tripping? No, probably not. You just know you're not alone. It's like, I'm rocking with everyone. Like I'm here, like, I mean, about as much as one person can. Right? Like we all got our own journey. But it's like, let's get it. Like, I just want to create content.
At the end of the day.
And today I get to kick it with you. So this was a fun content day.
It was.
The way from what I've learned, we only do this like once every couple years. So I'll see you 2026?
2027, maybe.
Okay, maybe.
Yeah.
Okay,
it was a real good day.
Thanks, sweaty hug.
I mean, there are so many people that inspire me still to this day. I'm a huge fan of Kiwi on the Sticks, Rena Mark, Berlizzi, and what they're doing. RDC, I feel like they're pumping out content all the time. And honestly, of course, you were one of the first people that I found on Twitch when I found out what a Twitch was. And you continue to inspire me. And I'm just trying to be like you when I get older. When I grow up.
Wait.
I'm just trying to be like you. I am.
I remember, like, I'm very grateful for y'all because I remember a time when I first started creating content on Twitch, y'all were not there. And so when y'all came, it was like, oh my God. It was a big deal. I remember you. I remember Chelsea. Shout out to Chelsea Bites. Out of nowhere, Ebonics hit the scene. Shout out to Danny. And then I met iChristine and I met Jazzy Guns. Check them out. And I don't know, y'all just went from, oh my God, to y'all are just killing it in y'all perspectives. But what's crazy is y'all do it, but y'all do it so casually. Like usually when people do when you see people doing something right, they're usually like punching you in the face with it, right? And they're like, look at me. And they're like tap dancing and break dancing for no reason. But y'all are just like chilling in like your own perspective realms. And I think that's what I've learned to really appreciate the most about content creators. It's like, y'all make it look easy. And I know it's not, I'm not going to take that. I'm not going to be like, oh, whatever, it must be nice. It's like, no, y'all just make it look that way, right? And as we continue, we have like new graduating classes and we get to see them come up.
Are we not elders?
We're getting old, right? They're going to be wheeling us out soon. So it's like you have your Pac-Man 630s, right? And your dehydrations, your Prize Zeros, and you get to see them grow, right? FLS Colors, shout out to Collars, your Cleos, and they're coming up. And it's kind of just like, one, we get to kind of see where we were, and we get to see like when they say things like, oh, I hate this. And it's like, oh, just wait. You're just getting started, right? So it's like really cool as we continue and we see like the up and coming classes and the new graduating classes where people are going. And it's dope that I get to, I went from seeing y'all from a distance and now it's like, but that's my girl. Like that's my, and I love that, right?
Yeah.
I love that for us.
This was fun.
Thank you, HyperX, for having us. I'm happy to do the finger guns, right? I feel like I know that we were like, oh, this conversation.
Yeah.
But I appreciate that HyperX allowed us to have the conversation. And for what it's worth, y'all, no one told us, shh. What was that? There we go. None of that. They actually just we just got to talk, and I appreciate that. And I hope we get to do this again.
Me too. 2027.
God, that's so far out. That's about right,
Yes.
right?
I say, let's go get some AC.
Okay, let's go. Okay.
Bigger events, better events, higher quality. Collaboration obviously is going to be a big part of it, but it's, I think your everyday go live, those kinds of streams are still going to thrive on the space, yeah.